Now, last night was the last major contest between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. And in my opinion, it was not good. But first, I want to cover the wins, and then I want to go through some of the losses. Now, Bernie Sanders had won Montana with 51% to 45%. That's a pretty decent win, right? He also won the North Dakota caucus with 64% of the vote. Also, that's a pretty good win. Now, Montana and North Dakota didn't have a lot of delegates, so didn't really help them all that much, but hey, win's a win, we'll take it, right? So now, those are the wins. Let's get to the losses. South Dakota. Now, Bernie Sanders lost by about 2 points. Okay, that's not bad. New Mexico by 4 points. Then it gets pretty bad. California, he lost by 13 points. California was the must-win state. I've been saying it a lot. You know, Bernie Sanders, if he wants a chance, he's got to do really well on this last Super Tuesday. If he wants to have be able to make the case to the super delegates, they should switch over to support Bernie Sanders. He didn't win California. In fact, he lost by 13 points, and Hillary Clinton outperformed the polling. Now, whether or not that has a lot to do with, and I think it does, with the AP coming on and saying, oh, well, you know what, we already called it for Hillary Clinton, so you might as well stay home. Now, we had questions on whether or not that would depress turnout on the Bernie Sanders side, which it clearly did, and the Hillary Clinton side, which it clearly did not. Now, you also have issues of people, it's a mixed primary in California, and they've got a little weird thing with independent, right? If you're an independent voter or let me get into some more details about this, right? Because it gets a little complicated. Well, there's something called no party preference, right? That's essentially the same as an independent. But in California, there's actually a party called independent. Now, if you register as an independent thinking that, oh, I'm independent, I'm not Republican, I'm not Democrat, I'm not part of any party, you end up being registered and you hit independent, right? You end up being registered as an independent party, because there's an actual party called the American Independent Party, which is some crazy right-wing libertarian group. When you do that, you can actually vote for another party, so you get disenfranchised that way because it's not clear. What you do have to ask for, and what you did have to ask for, was a party with, or a ballot with no party preference. Like, you need to get that other ballot, that crossover ballot, is what you need to get in order to vote in the election. If you get a no party preference ballot, it doesn't count. It has to be that crossover ballot. And I'm sorry for the confusion, even though it seems like it's a little late. So they had some pretty weird rules in California. So, of course, that did not help Bernie Sanders. Even the fact that it is a semi-open primary. But there you are. I mean, it didn't go very well last night. And of course, New Jersey was a disaster. 26 points is how much Hillary Clinton beat Bernie Sanders. Now, it's not all bad news, right? But I'm going to continue with that later. But basically, what I'm trying to say is that the campaign is essentially over when it comes to contests. Now, I really hate saying that, right? Because I'm like the biggest Bernie fucking bro that you can find. But at some point, you've got to know when a campaign for the nomination for the Democratic Party is over. But before you guys go nuts, and I'm sure you already are, okay, I'm getting the unsubscribe, you guys are probably like getting ready to dox me or some shit. Your campaign might be over, but the fight continues. The movement continues. You don't need the presidency to build a political revolution. See, in Bernie Sanders, what he's done is he has sown the seeds of that political revolution. And so have you guys, by supporting him, by canvassing for him, by phone banking, by supporting him, by getting out the message for him. You have sown the seeds of that political revolution. And that is admirable. Like, you guys deserve all the credit in the world for doing all the hard work that you've been doing. And that has to continue, because this has been more than just about a campaign or a politician like Bernie Sanders. But first, look, I'm going to get into more detail about that stuff later. But first, I want to show you Bernie Sanders talking about what happens next. Let's take a look.
Next Tuesday, we continue the fight in the last primary in Washington, D.C. We are going to fight hard. We are going to fight hard to win the primary in Washington, D.C. And then we take our fight for social, economic, racial, and environmental justice to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Thank you all. The struggle continues.
All right, so he's right. The struggle continues. And look, as far as going to Philadelphia, that's exactly what he should do. See, the convention isn't just where you choose a nominee. It's where you actually go to change rules and decide on what your party's going to run on, the platform, and what they stand for. Now, Bernie Sanders, he's won roughly about 46% of all pledged delegates. More if he wins Washington, D.C. More delegates means more influence and a bigger seat at the table. And that's what we want. Think about it. This could signal a rules change at the convention. And I think a lot of people, Sanders and Clinton supporters alike, see the problems that we've had in our primary system. Closed primaries, caucuses, which make no sense and require a day-long commitment just to take place at, right? Polling places being closed arbitrarily, running out of ballots. All these problems, they're on display. There's a big spotlight shown on these. And now people that see that it's an absolute convoluted mess. It's a disaster. So now we can take these to the committee, to the platform committee. We can take it to the convention, and we can say, hey, let's open up the primaries. Bernie Sanders has 46% of all the delegates that have voted from all the different contests that he's won. That's why he shouldn't suspend his campaign. That's why he shouldn't give his delegates over to Hillary Clinton. No, he needs those for leverage in order to get better rules. Rules that I'm pretty sure a lot of progressives would agree with. Where you actually want to bring more people into the party. You want to bring more independents over into the party and have them take part in the process. You want to have more primaries instead of caucuses. I mean, that's one thing Hillary Clinton supporters, Bernie Sanders, he does so much better in caucuses, and they're less democratic. Well, you know what? Bernie Sanders and his supporters agree with you. We actually do want to get rid of the caucus system. We think primaries are better, and we would like to have primaries, open primaries, with same-day registration. Make it easier to vote. Bring more people into the party. Bring more people into the fold. That's what we should be doing. That's what every progressive does. And if you don't agree with that, then maybe you should reconsider what kind of party you belong in. Are you in the party of more democracy? Or are you in the party of less democracy? If you call yourself a progressive and you're in the latter and don't believe in democracy, well, then something's wrong. Maybe you're not as progressive as you think you are. Open up the primaries. Same-day registration. Make it easier for people. Get rid of the caucus system as much as you can. Now, I realize some places won't go along with that. The Iowa caucus, for example. They could probably stay. Just because they're first in the nation, they don't want to give that up. Okay, fine. We'll have one caucus. Whatever. Another thing, get rid of superdelegates. The superdelegates are incredibly undemocratic. And that's one of the main criticisms I've had of that entire system. The whole purpose of the superdelegate was to flout the will of the people in order to get a more electable general election candidate. Now, it's obvious we already know who the stronger general election candidate is. Do you think the superdelegates are actually going to do their job and say, you know what, no, we're going to back Bernie Sanders because we think that he can defeat Trump better than Hillary Clinton can? No, of course not. Because who are superdelegates? Well, they're insiders. They're sometimes corporate lobbyists and bundlers. People who have, that Hillary Clinton has spent years building connections. That's why she's so beloved in the establishment. Because she's built those connections, she knows these people, she probably has brunch with these people, she talks with them, and they all support her, they all like her. It makes sense that the superdelegates would, for the most part, go to Hillary Clinton. Now, of course, there was this lie that no superdelegates would switch over to Bernie Sanders. That's not actually true. Superdelegates, just yesterday, switched over to Bernie Sanders, several of them. They switch all the time. They can switch their vote. That's what we were so mad about the AP's declaration. Now, well, if the AP had come out this morning or last night after the votes were counted in California, New Jersey, and said, okay, Hillary Clinton, definitely the winner. No contest, man. She won, and she won big. And that's fair. But coming out before any of the voting was done, that's what's not fair. So, that's my rule. That's my thoughts on that. Now, as I said, there could be some rules changes at this convention if the Sanders delegates push this issue. And that's one of the many reasons that Bernie Sanders should continue to fight all the way to the convention. That, and of course, in case Hillary Clinton gets indicted over the emails. So, goddamn right that I agree that we're going to fight all the way to Philly and beyond. As for me, well, my channel, well, here's the thing, right? Let me get back to that in a second. But I got to say that Bernie Sanders has absolutely no reason to drop out. He's not going to hand over his delegates, and he shouldn't. This is a fight. This is a political revolution. And political revolutions, they take time and a hell of a lot of work and last a lot longer than one single political primary campaign or even one presidency. They take forever. So yeah, we're going to the convention. We're going to Philly. We're going beyond. And that's what's going to happen. Now, as for me, my channel, well, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to continue to challenge the powerful. I'm going to continue to challenge Hillary Clinton. I'm going to criticize her when she's wrong. That's not going to change. I'm going to challenge Donald Trump. And more importantly, I'm going to fight for progressive causes wherever they are. And most importantly, give you guys the truth. Even when the truth kind of sucks, as it does today. And that's my plan. So if you guys think that, I'm going to go easy on Hillary Clinton just because she's the presumptive or presumptuous nominee, you got another thing coming. I'm going to treat it the same way that I've treated President Obama. I'm going to challenge him where he's wrong and continue to push him and other politicians towards more progressive policies, to get them to be more progressive, to represent the will of the people. And of course, to champion the cause of things like getting money out of politics. So no, I know a lot of you came because of my Bernie coverage. And trust me, if there's a relevant story of Bernie Sanders in it, of course I'm going to cover it. It's not going to stop. If he's back in the Senate to champion a bill to help our veterans or whatever, I'm going to be all over it. But I'll also be here to push for the values and policies that we all believe in and that we're all fighting for. But that comes later. Right now, I'm focused on the convention. What happens next? What happens at the convention? What are the new rules? Is Bernie Sanders going to be able to push for getting rid of superdelegates? What's going to happen? And that's really what I want to focus on in the next month or so. But on any other time after that, I'm still going to be here to push back against the establishment until they start putting the needs of the people ahead of the corporations and wealthy donors. And I'll be pushing back against the corporate media and all of their establishment biased bullshit. So what I'm saying here is, let's keep fighting for progressive policies in Bernie Sanders' progressive revolution. Because what Bernie started is up to us to keep going. That is until we get universal health care, until we get free college, until we get racial and economic justice, until we have a revolution in green energy and end fracking and all of our reliance on fossil fuels. All those different policies that Bernie Sanders has spent years, 40 years, pushing for. It's our turn to help him now. To help push those policies. That's why the revolution isn't over. That's why it's just begun. And I'm going to continue this fight, and I hope you guys will continue to fight this with me.